peer pressure and propaganda that encourages you to not control your weight and control the health of what you eat, part 2. So the second thing I want to talk about is the kind of vanity shaming. This comes in different forms, but the specific type of vanity shaming that personally would be at most risk for me is when people imply that if you like how you look, so this is putting health to one side, which is obviously the most important thing for some people of a certain age, I guess. Maybe when you're younger it's different, but for me it was health that came first, and then there was an element of vanity that came in. But the type of vanity shaming I want to talk about first is this idea that you liking how your new body or your goal body, whatever your goal body is, if it's smaller than the original body, if your goal body is getting, as it is for most people currently, is getting healthier by losing fat and maybe gaining muscle, maybe just losing lots of everything, it really depends on the situation, and you like how that looks better, you get shamed in a couple of ways. One of them being how you supposedly only like that look because it's like you've internalized it from society. I can't stand that. That annoys me so much. I find it so insulting. I know a lot of people believe this, that if you want to be slim, it's got to be coming from culture. And I think people don't mean that to be insulting all the time. Some people do. They understand it's insulting. Some people don't even see that it's insulting to some people. For me, it is, because I accept that there are things that are cultural in like my habitual behaviors that I do to survive, that I do to be practical, to get along with people. There are absolutely cultural behaviors. I 100% believe that culture affects our behavior a lot, but I do not believe that culture affects what you like, what you find what you find visually appealing. I don't think, and what you don't like, and what your values are. Even that's controversial to say. I don't even think culture affects your values. I think you're born with them, along with information. What information you have available will affect what your conclusions are on things. But in terms of like what kinds of things you care about and don't care about, what things do you naturally gravitate to and excite you? That's born. You're born with that. No, your culture doesn't change that. And if you like how it looks to be slim, but more than you like how it looks to be big, you might like some big bodies as well, but you might just like slimmer ones more. Like it doesn't mean that you find every other body horrible to look at. You just might have preferences, like certain types of bodies that you like the most, or really muscular bodies. Some people want to look more muscular, including women. They want to look really muscular, but the fact that most people kind of want to look slim, it's such an insult to imply that you're just like this blank slate template that you allowed outside forces to fill in your mind like it was empty, like you don't have the ability to have your own opinion, your own likes, your own dislikes. To me, that's actually insulting. So it could have worked on me. Those messages that you get from society, I don't know if that's one of the ones that the food industry is sponsoring. I know the food industry pays people to spread a number of different anti-diet, anti-weight loss, anti-healthy food, like eat whatever you want, including like food that isn't actually food but full of industrial manufactured non-culinary ingredients like our products. But I don't know if this is one of those or not. It doesn't even have to be to really annoy me in this case, because people use it as a shaming tactic. A lot of the time it's that crabs in a bucket thing. Other times it's just people not knowing any better and really believing it. But it really doesn't make any sense. I'm going to debunk it in a couple of different ways. There are so many things I could say. I could write an essay on this. But for example, I've mentioned it in my last video, persistence farming. Sorry, I said it again. I meant before to say hunting. Persistence hunting is what humans did to chase down mammoths. Because we are so, our body shape and the fact that we walk on two legs and some other things about our bodies, we lose heat easily, and we are cold, and obviously the thinner you are, the colder you are, which is a downside of not being when I got big, I wasn't as cold. That was the one upside. Everything else, physically, I felt worse in every way, but one physical upside was I was not as cold anymore. But that's because we used to be running around chasing animals down that could sprint much faster than us, but we could run longer. We could just run them until they were exhausted. That is what our ancestors did to survive when they needed to hunt animals for food, because we were very adaptable. When we were needed to do that, especially during ice ages, especially some parts of the world more than others, which might explain why there's some genetic lineage impact on how slim you like different parts of the world. If you're from certain parts of the world genetically, like if you're from Africa, you tend to like slightly bigger people, and it's healthier for you to be bigger given like your bone structure. You're having West Africa specifically have more fast twitch and less slow twitch muscle capacity, and so if you're from that part of the world, you have a different preference. All this is showing that you're born with it, it's genetic, and that there's individual variation, but that there's also like a big correlation with just being a human, and most of us to some degree or other, varying degrees, needed to hunt animals for a long time, so we needed to be quite slim. How slim would have varied depending on where your ancestors predominantly came from and what their lifestyle was, but certainly for Europeans and for Asians, who are the ones who are the most likely, especially Asians, most likely to want a slim body, and also BMI and other research that's body composition based shows that they are healthier at lower weights. It's obvious that when you see people from around the world, people who have Asian descent want to be slimmer, and it's healthier for their bodies to be slimmer than a European, who we don't, in general, most Europeans have slightly bigger skeletons, and then West Africans have bigger again, given the same height. That's been shown, right? And it can't be a coincidence that these correlations in what people like the fact that people of West African descent generally like to see bigger, they like to be bigger and see bigger on a body. They find that more visually appealing. No one teaches them that, because that's everywhere, in whether you're in America, which was, mostly the media was showing you white people who were with no bum for a long time, but the people of African descent still preferred bigger, because it wasn't coming from the media or culture, it was coming from genes. It's always coming from genes. I want to look the way I look, and I know that I didn't absorb it from anyone. I know for a fact it took me a while to realise this, but I realised there's no way I did. A couple of reasons that it can't have been that I absorbed it from anywhere was, number one, I've got an image in my head of the perfect body that I think looks amazing, and I use it for and one reason I even cared when I was a kid was that I had like my imaginary stories and narratives in my mind, and I would have characters I made up, and I wanted those characters to be nice for me to visualize, like just like eye candy, but in my mind eye candy, right? And I would piece together, I would say, oh, that person's arms are like the best arms I've ever seen. That person's legs, that person's abdomen, that person's, whether it was a man or a woman or whatever. And I would make the perfect image in my head, but from different people. And it was some of it I had in my mind an image, and it reflected anywhere in what I saw. I was looking around for all the different bodies, and this was in the 90s, when the narrative is that supposedly the only bodies you ever saw were super skinny. Absolutely a lie. People are cherry picking the hell out of that and focusing on what they want to remember. But most people, like the Spice Girls, Lucy Lawless from Xena, and there were fat people, Lisa Riley on the television presenters, Vanessa Feltz. There were lots of overweight people, and there were some underweight people. Just like every other decade, there have always been underweight and overweight celebrities. And there were people want to focus on the small number of runway models who even watch them and say that everyone wanted to look like that. No, we wanted to look like the Spice Girls and Lucy Lawless, healthy, slim, same as ever. It hadn't changed. Your individual preference, my individual preference has not changed. The idea that I got it from society, when I didn't even care, I only recently began, in the last few years, began to care what I dressed like, because it suddenly dawned on me that I didn't have to dress, clothes could be used as art. As soon as I realised my body could be like art, and I could sculpt the body shape I wanted, I think I already kind of got that, but the face painting as art and accessorising my body just because I want to walk around and look at this thing and know that I made it, doodling or something in the morning and being proud that you made this painting and it looks good to you or interesting to you in some way, that's treating my body like that. That is the only reason I ever started to even have any interest in clothes. I was have been happy in a bin bag before that. So I'm not naturally someone who ever cared about my appearance in terms of appealing to other people. So how come I still cared about my body shape? I think it's genetic. We are genetically designed to want to look a certain way. And I pieced together what was attractive to me. The belly that I wanted, I never saw. I looked at every belly I ever saw in the media and in real life and thought it wasn't flat enough. I had super high standards. Where did I get that from? No one taught me that. I was born with it. And it's like genetic variation, as in anything else. Some people like really muscly, but they're a minority. Some people like to look really big, genuinely like it, and they're a minority. Some people want to be really skinny. Anorexia is the most genetic mental illness of any, because it's all genetic. What you want to look like is clearly genetic. It's stable over time in any given genetic lineage population. In any given race, it's the same number of people